Michael Carter, a successful diner owner in Los Angeles, woke up in the ICU. The room was dim and the beeping of machines surrounded him. His body felt heavy and weak, and his mind was clouded with confusion. As he tried to gather his thoughts, Michael overheard a voice that made his heart skip a beat. "Yes, darling, it's all set. The will is in my favor," Linda, his wife, was saying on the phone. "Once he's gone, the diner and all his money will be ours." Michael's heart raced as he listened to Linda's conversation. He pretended to be unconscious, barely cracking his eyes open to see her standing by his bedside, her tone cold and calculating. The realization hit him hard. Linda was planning to claim his fortune and take over the diner. Worse, she was in league with a lover. As Linda ended the call, Michael's mind raced back to the events leading up to his hospitalization. He had suspected Linda of infidelity for a while. Her late-night outings, secretive phone calls, and sudden disinterest in their marriage were all red flags. But it wasn't until that fateful night that his suspicions were confirmed. Michael had followed Linda to a high-end hotel, hoping to catch her in the act. His heart had sunk as he saw her meet a man in the lobby, laughing and holding hands. In his shock, Michael had driven aimlessly through the city until he ended up in a car accident that nearly took his life. Determined to uncover the truth and reclaim his life, Michael decided to play along, pretending to be in a coma. He needed to gather strength and plan his next move carefully. As the days passed, he observed Linda's behavior, her conversations, and her cold disregard for his well-being. One day, a compassionate nurse named Emily came to check on him. Unlike Linda, Emily's touch was gentle, and her eyes were filled with concern. Michael felt a flicker of hope. He needed someone he could trust, and Emily seemed like that person. "Emily," he whispered one evening when she was alone in the room. She turned to him, startled. "Please don't tell anyone I'm awake. I need your help." Emily's eyes widened in surprise, but she quickly nodded. "What do you need, Michael?" "I need to get out of here," he said, his voice weak but determined. "Linda is planning something terrible. I have to stop her." Emily looked at him, her face filled with worry. "You're not strong enough yet, but I'll help you. We'll do this carefully." Over the next few days, Emily and Michael planned his escape. She brought him clothes, helped him practice walking, and found a private driver who could take them to Michael's home without raising suspicion. One night, when the hospital was quiet, Emily wheeled Michael out of his room. They moved cautiously, avoiding staff and security. Once outside, Michael took a deep breath of the cool night air. It was the first time he felt alive in weeks. The drive to his home was tense. Michael's mind was a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. When they finally arrived, Michael's heart pounded as he approached his front door. He fumbled with his keys, but they didn't fit. Linda had changed the locks. Undeterred, Michael rang the doorbell. Footsteps approached, and the door opened to reveal a man in Michael's robe. Michael's blood boiled. It was Linda's lover. "Who are you?" The man sneered. "You're not supposed to be here." Before Michael could respond, Linda appeared behind the man. Her face paled when she saw Michael standing there. "Michael, but you're supposed to be dead." "Not quite, Linda." Michael finished for her. "You've got some explaining to do." Linda stammered, trying to cover her tracks. I thought you were gone, Michael. It's not what it looks like." Michael's eyes narrowed. "Save it. You and your lover have 5 minutes to pack your things and get out of my house." The man stepped forward, trying to assert himself. "Listen, you need to leave." Michael's gaze was steely. "I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. Get out." With no other choice, Linda and her lover hurriedly gathered their belongings and left. As they walked out, Michael felt a mix of anger and relief. The betrayal cut deep, but he was ready to take back control of his life. Inside, Michael sat down, his body trembling from the exertion. Emily sat beside him, her hand on his shoulder. You did it, Michael. They're gone, Emily said. Michael nodded, his eyes filled with determination. This is just the beginning. I need to rebuild everything they tried to take from me, and I'll need your help. Emily smiled. You have it every step of the way. With Emily's support, Michael felt a newfound strength. He knew the road ahead would be tough, but he was ready. It was time to reclaim his life, his diner, and his future. Michael awoke the next morning feeling a mix of exhaustion and resolve. He knew that reclaiming his life and diner would not be easy, but with Emily by his side, he felt hopeful. The first step was to gather the people he trusted the most: Frank, the janitor, and Sarah, the dishwasher, who had warned him about the accident. Emily and Michael made their way to the diner. Michael moved slowly, leaning on a cane for support, but his eyes were filled with determination. When they arrived, the staff looked shocked to see their boss, who they thought was still in a coma. Whispers filled the air as Michael and Emily made their way to his office. Frank, the janitor, was the first to approach them. "Mr. Carter, is it really you?" "We thought—" "It's me, Frank," Michael said, offering a weak smile. "I have a lot to explain, but first I need your help. Can you gather the staff? There's something I need to say." Frank nodded and hurried off to gather the employees. Within minutes, the staff assembled, their faces filled with curiosity and concern. Michael stood before them, taking a deep breath. "Thank you all for coming," he began. "I know this is a surprise, but I needed to see you all. First, I want to thank you for keeping the diner running in my absence. It means a lot to me." The staff murmured in response, some nodding in agreement. Michael continued, "I have recently discovered a betrayal that has shaken me deeply. My wife, Linda, and her lover planned to take over the diner and my fortune, but with the help of Emily, I was able to uncover the truth and return." Gasps filled the room as the employees exchanged shocked glances. Michael held up his hand to quiet them. "I know this is a lot to take in, but I need your support now more than ever. Frank, Sarah, please step forward." Frank and Sarah exchanged surprised looks before stepping forward. Michael smiled at them. "Frank, you've been with this diner for years, always loyal and hardworking. Sarah, you warned me about the accident, and I didn't believe you. I owe you an apology and my gratitude." Sarah's eyes welled up with tears. "Mr. Carter, I was just trying to help." "You did more than help, Sarah. You saved my life," Michael said. "I want to offer you a promotion to assistant chef. Your dedication and hard work deserve recognition." Sarah's mouth dropped open in shock. "Assistant chef? Are you serious?" "Absolutely," Michael confirmed. "And Frank, I need you to continue being the rock of this diner. Your experience and loyalty are invaluable." Frank beamed with pride. "You can count on me, Mr. Carter." Michael nodded, feeling a sense of warmth from their support. "Thank you. And there's one more person I need to find. Jake, the homeless man who saved me from the burning car." Emily stepped forward. "I think I know where to find him. He often stays near the old warehouse on 5th Street. Michael turned to her, gratitude shining in his eyes. "Let's go find him." Emily and Michael left the diner, heading towards the old warehouse district. The streets were rough, and Michael's condition made the journey difficult, but he was determined. As they approached the warehouse, they spotted a man sitting against the wall, looking tired and worn. "Jake," Michael called out. The man looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. "Do I know you?" "It's me, Michael Carter. You saved my life," Michael said, stepping closer. Recognition dawned on Jake's face. "I remember. You're the guy from the car accident." "Yes, and I owe you everything," Michael said. "I want to offer you a job at my diner. You risked your life for me, and I ought to repay your kindness." Jake hesitated, looking unsure. "A job? I don't know, man. I haven't had a real job in years." "Please, Jake," Michael urged. "You deserve a chance to rebuild your life. just like I do." Jake looked at Michael and then at Emily, who nodded encouragingly. "All right," Jake finally said. "I'll give it a try." Michael smiled, feeling a sense of relief. "Thank you, Jake. Let's go back to the diner. There's a lot to do." As they returned to the diner, Michael felt a sense of hope and determination. He had the support of loyal friends and a plan to rebuild what was broken. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one that promised resilience, loyalty, and redemption. With Frank, Sarah, Jake, and Emily by his side, Michael knew they could overcome any challenge that lay ahead. With his loyal team assembled, Michael Carter felt more confident than ever. But he knew that reclaiming his life and diner was only the beginning. The betrayal by his wife, Linda, weighed heavily on him, and he was determined to uncover the full extent of her deceit and bring her to justice. Michael, Emily, Frank, Sarah, and Jake sat together in the diner office discussing their next steps. "We need to find concrete evidence of Linda's involvement in my accident," Michael said, his voice steady despite the anger simmering beneath the surface. "We can't let her get away with this." Jake, the streetwise rescuer, leaned forward. "I have some connections that might help. There's a private investigator I know who owes me a favor. He might be able to dig up some dirt on Linda and her lover." Michael nodded, grateful for Jake's resourcefulness. "That sounds like a good start. Emily, can you stay here and keep an eye on things at the diner?" "Of course, Michael," Emily replied, her eyes filled with determination. "I'll make sure everything runs smoothly." Sarah chimed in, "And I'll help in the kitchen. We need to keep the diner thriving while you focus on clearing your name." With a plan in place, Michael and Jake set off to meet the private investigator. The investigator, a grizzled man named Tony, listened intently as Michael explained the situation. "So you think your wife and her lover had something to do with your accident?" Tony asked, scratching his chin. "I'm certain of it," Michael replied. "I just need proof." Tony nodded. "All right, I'll start digging. I'll need a few days, but I'll get to the bottom of this." While Tony worked on gathering evidence, Michael returned to the diner, determined to keep his life as normal as possible. He immersed himself in the day-to-day operations, working closely with Sarah in the kitchen and overseeing Jake's transition into his new role as manager. One evening, as the diner was winding down for the night, Michael received a call from Tony. "I've got some information for you," Tony said. "Meet me at my office." Michael felt a knot of anxiety tighten in his stomach as he drove to Tony's office. When he arrived, Tony handed him a folder filled with documents. "It's all here," Tony said. "Bank statements, phone records, even emails. Linda and her lover were planning this for months. They set up the accident and were just waiting for you to die so they could take everything." Michael's hands trembled as he looked through the evidence. It was all there, clear as day. Linda's betrayal was more calculated and sinister than he had imagined. "Thank you, Tony," Michael said, his voice heavy with emotion. "This is exactly what I needed." Armed with the evidence, Michael knew it was time to confront Linda and bring her to justice. He returned to the diner, where Emily, Frank, Sarah, and Jake were waiting anxiously. "We've got the proof," Michael announced, holding up the folder. "Linda and her lover are going down." The next step was to take the evidence to the authorities. Michael, accompanied by Emily, walked into the police station and presented the folder to Detective Harris. The detective listened carefully as Michael explained everything. "This is some serious evidence," Detective Harris said, flipping through the documents. "We'll launch an investigation immediately, but you should be prepared for a legal battle. Linda's not going to go down without a fight." Michael nodded, steeling himself for the battle ahead. "I'm ready for whatever it takes to bring her to justice." As the investigation progressed, news of Linda's betrayal and the evidence against her began to spread. The diner staff rallied around Michael, providing him with the support and encouragement he needed. Customers, too, showed their loyalty, flocking to the diner and expressing their support for Michael. One afternoon, as Michael was helping Sarah in the kitchen, Emily rushed in holding her phone. "Michael, you need to see this," she said, showing him a news article. "Linda has been arrested. The police have enough evidence to charge her and her lover with conspiracy and attempted murder." Michael felt a wave of relief wash over him. "It's finally happening," he said, his voice shaking. "Justice is being served." That evening, the diner was filled with a sense of celebration. Frank, Sarah, and Jake worked tirelessly to keep up with the influx of customers, while Emily and Michael shared a quiet moment in the office. "You did it, Michael," Emily said, squeezing his hand. "You stood up to them and came out stronger." Michael smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without all of you. This diner, these people, they're my family now." As the night went on, Michael felt a renewed sense of hope and determination. He had faced betrayal and emerged resilient, ready to rebuild his life and cherish the loyal friendships he had formed. The battle wasn't over, but with his newfound family by his side, Michael knew they could face any challenge that lay ahead. The weeks following Linda's arrest were a whirlwind for Michael Carter. The legal proceedings were intense, but with the overwhelming evidence gathered by Tony, the private investigator, the case against Linda and her lover was solid. The court hearings attracted a lot of attention, and Michael had to relive the pain of betrayal repeatedly. However, he found strength in the unwavering support of his new family at the diner. One morning, Michael stood in the courtroom, watching as the judge delivered the verdict. Linda and her lover were found guilty of conspiracy and attempted murder. They were sentenced to long prison terms, and Michael felt a profound sense of relief and justice. The chapter of betrayal and deceit had come to an end. As Michael left the courthouse, he was greeted by Emily, Sarah, Frank, and Jake, who had all come to support him. "It's finally over," Michael said, a mix of exhaustion and relief in his voice. Emily hugged him tightly. "You did it, Michael. Justice is served." Back at the diner, the atmosphere was festive. Customers and staff celebrated Michael's victory and the beginning of a new era. Michael knew that this was not just about his personal triumph. It was about the resilience and loyalty of the people who stood by him. A few days later, Michael called a meeting with his core team: Emily, Frank, Sarah, and Jake. They gathered in the diner's office where Michael had an important announcement to make. "I want to thank each of you for your unwavering support," Michael began. "This diner wouldn't be standing without you. I've been thinking a lot about the future, and I've decided it's time for some changes." Frank and Sarah exchanged curious glances while Jake leaned forward, listening intently. Emily squeezed Michael's hand, encouraging him to continue. "Frank, your dedication and hard work have kept this place running smoothly for years. I want you to take on more responsibility as the operations manager. Your experience is invaluable." Frank's eyes widened in surprise. "Operations manager, Michael? I don't know what to say." "Thank you." Michael smiled. "You've earned it, Frank. And Sarah, your promotion to assistant chef is long overdue. Your talent and dedication deserve recognition." Sarah beamed with pride. "Thank you, Michael. I won't let you down." Michael turned to Jake. "Jake, your bravery saved my life. I want you to be the new manager. Your street smarts and resourcefulness are exactly what we need." Jake looked humbled. "I don't know if I'm cut out for it, but I'll give it my best shot." "You'll do great," Michael assured him. "And last but not least, Emily, your compassion and support have been my anchor. I have something important to ask you." Michael took a deep breath, his heart pounding. "Emily, will you marry me?" The room fell silent as Emily's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, Michael, yes, I will." Cheers erupted from the team as Michael slipped a ring onto Emily's finger. The Diner family had come together in the face of adversity, and now they were celebrating a future filled with hope and love. Over the next few months, The diner thrived under the new management. Frank's meticulous attention to detail ensured smooth operations, while Sarah's culinary skills brought in new customers. Jake proved to be a natural leader, handling challenges with ease and earning the respect of the staff. Michael and Emily's wedding was a joyous occasion attended by their close friends and the entire diner family. The ceremony was simple but heartfelt, reflecting the journey they had been through together. As they exchanged vows, Michael felt a deep sense of gratitude for the love and loyalty that had brought him back from the brink of despair. Life at the diner settled into a happy rhythm. Michael found himself looking forward to each day, surrounded by people who cared for him. He had learned that true wealth was not in money or property, but in the bonds of friendship and trust. One evening, as the diner was closing, Michael sat with Emily, Frank, Sarah, and Jake, reflecting on their journey. "We've been through so much together," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "I couldn't have asked for a better family." Frank raised his coffee cup in a toast to resilience, loyalty, and new beginnings. Everyone echoed the toast, clinking their cups together. The past was behind them, and the future was bright. With his newfound family by his side, Michael knew they could face whatever challenges came their way. As the night grew darker, the lights of the diner glowed warmly, a beacon of hope and redemption. Michael looked around at the faces of his friends and felt a profound sense of peace. They had all been betrayed in some way, but together they had found resilience and redemption. The journey had made them stronger and their bonds unbreakable. And so, in the heart of Los Angeles, amidst the hustle and bustle of the city, Michael Carter and his diner family began a new chapter. United by loyalty and love, they were ready to face the future together.